Hi folks, Paula MacLean again, and I'm back with the second part of helping you move crazy busy to good busy in your workplace. And chances are these strategies are actually going to be pretty effective strategies for you at home and in a whole variety of other ways. You know, crazy busy is not good, and good busy is much better. And so our first strategy in video number 1 was to think about the whole business of new shiny objects. And if you missed that video, by all means go back and watch the video, because it's a really helpful strategic way of managing our time a little bit better and moving away from that crazy busy. So many of us have had this experience of passing somebody that we supervise or somebody who works on our team in a hallway, and they say, Paula, just a second. Can I just have a minute of your time? And of course you stop. You're a caring, supportive, understanding, good listening supervisor. And so you stop, and Amy, the employee, says to you, you know what, I have this problem. And I want you to visualize Amy's problem as a monkey sitting on her shoulder. This monkey is grinning because he's warping Amy. He's making Amy's day stressful. He's sitting there grinning as he sits on her shoulder. And Amy talks about her monkey. She talks about the problem. She talks about the issues. She talks about how frustrated she is. And you, being a caring, warm, understanding supervisor, you nod and you listen and you provide some advice and you provide some guidance and some direction. And in that process, the monkey starts to crawl off Amy's shoulder and crawls over on your shoulder. And as you finish up your hallway conversation with Amy, Amy feels so much better. She feels absolutely awesome because you have been such a good supervisor. And she walks away feeling lighter. And the monkey is grinning, sitting on your shoulder. And we think about that little metaphor and that little story, and we think about, here's the issue for us. The issue is that the monkey becomes yours, because now the problem, which you've supported Amy with, has become your problem to manage. We collect monkeys through our working day. So what's the challenge here? Because you do not want to be an unsupportive person to anybody you supervise. Amy deserves some time and some energy and some listening and some care, and that's the nature of how supervision, particularly in not-for-profit organizations, we're in supervisory management positions, we want to be caring. We're in the people business. And so what are we going to do that is still supportive of Amy, but at the same time helps us manage the fact that we can't carry everybody's monkeys. We cannot have every single problem and collect all those problems through the day and expect to get any of our work done. And at the same time, eventually, we don't have the time to listen to people. We don't have the energy, and we sometimes lose our sense of humor. That's the first sign for me that I'm overstressed, is that we lose our sense of humor, and then we are not doing our jobs as supervisors. So let's talk a little bit about what we can do that will make a difference for Amy, as well as stop us from collecting a whole bunch of monkeys, also called problems, and end up burdened ourselves with a whole bunch of things that really don't belong to us. So one of the things we need to do is that if we have time right then and there, we need to change the interaction we're having with Amy. And one of the things we need to do is, if we don't have time, to channel Amy's problem into a different venue when we do have time. So first thing is, you need to assess quickly. Is this just a little problem that I'm hearing about, or do I really need to focus and listen carefully, and do Amy and I need 10, 15 minutes together? So if it's a 2 or 3 minute or a 5 minute conversation and you have the time for it, by all means have that. If it is not, then say to Amy, you know what, this is better if we talk about this for 10 or 15 minutes face to face. Let's set up a time. Go on your computer, get some scheduling stuff done, or let me know what time works for you, or I'll tell you what time works for me. And then you have channeled this into a time that is not going to be a rush. And important issues deserve time, and important issues should not be short-shrifted in a hallway kind of conversation. Now, here's one of the things that we want to make sure that we do. We have to make sure that we ask Amy questions that guide her through a process that says we care about the issue, but we also care about Amy solving this problem with our guidance and support, rather than you solving the problem that Amy has handed to you. So the process of what we call pulling, which is drawing out of people their own ideas and suggestions, are absolutely critical. So the conversation we have with Amy is entirely different than just listening. It's about saying, so I get that this is an issue. What are your thoughts about how you solve it? Right? Now, this does a number of things, and you're not going to just get away with asking one question, by the way. You're going to ask multiple questions of Amy, whatever question seems to come to mind by what you're listening to. So listen carefully and draw your questions from what you're hearing. But the whole point of the matter here is that we're supporting Amy in a different way. We're not spoon-feeding her. Right? We're not teaching her to be dependent on us. We're teaching her to think. So let's just think about the 4 things we accomplish when we shift the way we have that conversation. The first thing is we're being helpful, but in a different way. The second thing is that we're teaching Amy that if you ask yourself a few questions, the same questions as you are asking Amy in the hallway, you are then answering those questions in a way that solves the problem. And if you do that consistently, if you ask questions of employees, then they learn to problem solve on their own. And they also learn that you have an expectation that when you have a monkey, that you have some ideas of how you're going to resolve that monkey, right? That you're not taking other people's problems from them, that you're not just, adopting their monkeys. You're saying, I'll be supportive, but I'll be supportive by asking good questions that lead you to good solutions, and in that process, teaching you how to ask those same questions of yourself so that in time you need me less for small things, and then if you come to me, it's because you're kind of at a point where you can't answer those questions yourself and you really do need some assistance and guidance and advice. The third thing, in addition to being able to say we're going to teach Amy to ask questions, is that we've changed the expectation of what a supervisor does. What we're saying is that supervisors are not people that you hand your monkeys to. Some employees will tell you, this is why you get paid the big bucks. Well, managers and supervisors and not-for-profits often don't make a big ton of money more than people who do work on the line. But there's a perception that if you're in a management or supervisory role, that it's your responsibility to take this on, that the problems are yours, and that everybody else should have a problem-free day, because what their job is to find the problems and hand them off to supervisors and managers to be able to deal with them. If we change our interaction with Amy in the hallway, and we do that consistently over time, and we do that with all of the people that we supervise, what we're saying is that supervisors' work here is to assist with problem solving by teaching people how to ask and answer the right questions. And we're really creating independence, and we're really teaching people how to deal with their monkeys without having a whole lot of supervisory input. That's the way we create independence and autonomy, and we also then can build a team where they ask each other questions, and that is really helpful to creating collaboration within teams and to helping people solve problems at the same time. And the fourth thing we accomplish from changing the interaction with Amy in the hallway is we don't take her monkey. Right, is that she walks away with a monkey who now has kind of got a sad look on his face because he knows he's about in the process of being taken off the shoulder, put on the desk, and given a stern talking to. The problem will get solved, and it will get solved because you've supported the person in a different way. So when we are supporting problem solving, we need to make sure of 2 things. First of all, some of the monkeys are giant. They're like a gorilla or an orangutan size of monkey. And that means that probably Amy does not just need you to ask some questions, and it's not just a tiny little monkey that can get addressed within a hallway. Take time, identify if the monkey is a large one, and sit down and solve that problem. And if it takes 15 minutes, great. If it takes an hour, then so be it. So we need to make sure that we identify that the monkey is a regular run-of-the-mill garden variety monkey. It's a problem that Amy can probably solve with a little bit of good questions from us. However, sometimes Amy is way in over her head, and we need to spend time and guidance support, and you may even need some additional guidance and support by bringing somebody else in your organization. And the second point I want to make is just a bit of a caution here, is that if you have a brand new employee who is just learning the ropes, and if you have an employee who has lower levels of skill because they're just getting started in their career, you cannot stand there in the hallway and ask them questions that they cannot answer. That's a path to failure, and you shouldn't do it. So this strategy is a great strategy that will help you go from crazy busy to good busy, but you need to be using it selectively with the right people. If you have a brand new employee or someone who has a lower skill level, who's just learning, they will not be able to answer the questions that you're asking, and that's a no fair. So those people you need to sit down with, and you need to actually manage the process and support them through finding the solutions, but it's going to be quite a different conversation. It needs to be face-to-face. You need to give 10 or 15 minutes to it, and it shouldn't happen in a hallway. So that's strategy 2 for our video blog series, going from crazy busy to good busy, and I'll be back next Thursday with another video blog. Please, if you haven't signed up for the 3 free videos for nonprofit supervisors and managers, please go to 3freevideos.learningforleaders.ca. It's a whole 90 minutes of really good, completely free training, so I welcome you to that. And secondly, if you finish the 3 free videos, please go to my website at learningforleaders.ca and take a look at the full video course for managers and supervisors of not-for-profit organizations. And in the meantime, till next Thursday, I'm Paula MacLean, and I'm your video leadership coach.